and I have low network connectivity, so this may be a little rough today. But I think the thing I would like to tell you is that the main output, the main focus of following our calling, I think, anyway, and I think the Bible supports this pretty well, is for us to create something, right? God, in the beginning, He created. He created us in His image to be creators. And what is it that we're really creating, right? Well, what we're creating is culture. And I think that this is an important tip. I mean, first off, tell me what you think about that, right? Do you think that, like, have you ever thought about it? Like, if we're following our calling, whatever God's having us do is going to create something, and it's going to create culture, you know? You know, when David was called to be king, it was to create the right kind of culture for the Israelites. When Moses was called to go and ask Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, it was to reestablish this nation of the Israelites. When Paul was called, he was called to bring the gospel to the Greeks too, to the Gentiles, to people beyond just the Israelites. And so in doing that, he was creating a culture. And so I would argue that God's always asking us to create a culture in our calling. And that doesn't matter if that is something in our workplace or something like creating the culture with our kids and our grandkids. So, here we are today in Georgia because we weren't able to visit with our kids and grandkids that were here in Georgia during the holidays. So we had to kind of figure out a different way to do that. We didn't have to do that. If we didn't do that, if we didn't come and see them and make the effort, invest the expense, then those grandkids would grow up never really knowing us and never really understanding what we bring to the table to them. So we have to understand that what we're doing with them isn't just seeing them. The intentionality of it is what kind of culture do we want to create? What culture has God asked us to put in place, and what's the best way to do that? Right? I think for me, one of the things I think about was for my kids, and we could argue about whether something's the right the right way to be or the wrong way to be. But when I think about my kids growing up, I maybe was I a workaholic, with them? Was I really there for them? I think for me, I tried to strike a balance in that. I tried to give them and model for them the value of being passionate about your work, seeking work that you love, really trying to do well at that, having the right character in that. But at the same time, not being so given to that I wasn't given to my family either, right? I was very involved in a lot of different things with my kids, with scouting, with homeschooling. We were doing more than just ignoring them and kind of handing them off to the school district, right? So for me, I was trying to create a culture that showed the balance. Like, yes, you need to work hard, and you need to even model working hard and well and caring about your work to your kids, just like I'm modeling to you. But also, you need to find time to do things specifically with your family. So here we are today, and I was kind of leery about whether or not I would do these while we were on this vacation. In fact, Monday and Tuesday, I'll probably, because we'll be traveling and doing some things, I'll probably pre-record those and put them out. But today I was like, no, I'm gonna do this one live. And even though I knew we were coming to meet Brittany, and it's interesting because it's kind of like in the way. Like, theoretically, I should have done this and been with her, but here we are waiting to meet her at this restaurant, and she's not here yet. So it's literally taking nothing away from my time with her to spend a few minutes with you guys and talk about calling and the creation of culture. So just a couple of ideas to go on that. If you're talking about the creation of culture, and that's what God is calling you to, how do you understand the details of the culture he wants you to create? And I think that's what one has to wrestle with. Once you say, hey, this is the area I love, this is where I want to invest my time in my calling, the next thing to start to think about is, well, great, what kind of culture do I want to create? Because whatever he has me doing, it will be creating culture. So I think that's an idea for you to mull on, is how would I actually understand the kind of culture he wants to create and co-create that with him in the endeavor that he has called me to, whether that's the one I'm currently doing or the one I'm planning on pursuing in the future. Either way, you can be intentional about not just going through the motions and reacting to whatever happens each day, but you can be intentional about the kind of culture you feel like God is creating through you and wants to create through you. And you can ask him, what is it that you're asking me to create here? And understand that it has significant reach. Like the culture you give your kids, your family, your coworkers, your friends, it spills out and ripples out beyond you. And so don't just think that it's not that big of a deal. It's absolutely, completely a big deal. And, we were meeting here with some friends last night, and he was talking to me about, and I could totally relate to this. He was talking to me about his father, who he loved, and his father was good to him and provided for him. He was kind of different than him. He was very caught up in education and trying to better himself, and he was trying to model that for his son, which he did. His son kind of had a different kind of point of view, and even though his father did that, he also did not come to his games. He didn't participate in the things in his life. So he knew he loved him, but he also kind of felt disconnected. And then when he met his current wife, her father, on the other hand, really just kind of put his arm around him and embraced him and really, lived life with him and created culture with him. And, he ended up kind of creating a career from that involvement. And it really had an effect on him, because this man, his wife's father, basically said, I'm going to create a culture with this guy. You can be doing that for somebody. So who you're supposed to do that for, is about who you love. And then what do you really want to give them? What is God calling you to give them? That's where we create culture. So anyway, that's a couple of thoughts for you. Hope you have a great weekend and get ready to kick off next week. Take care. Bye-bye.